live. We are live. 0 people watching. That's kind of what I thought. Ooh, you got 1 person in. Can I get a mic check? Can anybody hear me? What's the audio sound like? Is it horrendous like it was before?
There's a little bit of artifacting.
I guess my one person watching is lawfully armed on YouTube.
Where's that signature? Hey-oh. All right, I got topics for you. Whatever news about the Houthis today?
Oh, y'all can't see anything because of the cover.
Any sort of critters, creepy crawlies, or cryptid stuff, because that's always good. UFOs and drones, not medical misinformation.
There we go.
Dog man. There we go.
Another dash cam video.
We can dig it. We got ACR Protect in the house. He says good evening. So you got somebody besides me watching already, Pat. He was just getting home from work.
Good evening, ACR Protect. Depending on where you are, you're up pretty late. Pretty much lawfully, and Muffin Top bullied me into starting a live stream.
You got great
Nobody's in here with me. It's kind of hard to come up with a topic and just say stuff. Lawfully Armed is on the stage.
Oh, I didn't realize my mom
Not muted.
I thought I was talking to you. Good evening, ACR Protect. We're doing smashing.
I'm not going to read that.
He's
Because that could mean different things to different people. Are we smashing the like button?
We sure are.
We're just smashing.
Pat's making America move, and I moved my ass all across America.
A lot of people just
That's
saying
what we did
hi.
tonight.
Hi. Traveling through south central Pennsylvania at the moment, on our way up to Connecticut. A little over a 5-hour drive each way. Just gets boring and lonely.
I thought I was talking a minute ago. Didn't realize my mic was muted. I was trying to give you topics like any sort of cryptids, not medical misinformation, UFOs and drones.
I'm pretty much forced to drive safe. It's everyone else around me. I do my very best to keep a nice following distance, but people always cut in.
Man, you really do hit a lot of rough patches of highway, don't you?
Drunken idiots tonight. Yeah. I don't really see much of that on the highway. I think you find more of that on the rural roads. That's not always true, though.
You got Mark Legan
Back when my wife
Legion
and I
and
were still over the road together, and then there's that guy doing like 70 miles an hour and 55. A few years ago, when my wife and I were still running over the road together, like I'd never felt compelled to call the cops, like ever, on anything I saw on the highway if it wasn't an accident. But we were following this guy, and he was all over the road, like from one shoulder to the other, just swerving back and forth. And we ended up calling the cops on that guy. And then probably an hour later, we saw a cop had a white. It was a white car that was doing all the swerving. About an hour later, probably not less than that, probably 30 minutes later at the most, we saw a cop had a white car pulled over, but it was the wrong one. We're like, no, that's the wrong one.
can you hear me? Pat, can you hear me? Test, test.
And one night we were driving out of Vegas. It was pretty late. It was probably like 1 o'clock in the morning as we were leaving. I saw this woman walking along the shoulder, leaving Las Vegas, like out of like the road that I was on. Like there's not Las Vegas and then some houses and then an industrial area or nothing. The road, I think it's 15, going up towards Salt Lake City, Utah. Once you leave like the Vegas area, there's freaking nothing out that way. And she was walking out of Vegas, and I was torn on what to do. Like, do I pull over and like see if she needs help, or is this one of those like that's bait situations?
If it's not bait, she's a problem woman.
And then it was probably a while after that we were headed. Coming out of Salt Lake City, headed down towards New Mexico. I think it's 440 maybe. My wife was driving, and it was ridiculous cold and like snowing. She saw a guy walking out in the middle of nowhere. I told her she should have called the cops then, because that guy probably, I was afraid he was like drunk and going to pass out and freeze to death.
I don't think Pat can hear me, guys.
It's lawfully talking and I can't hear him.
We just confirmed he can't hear me. What a fun game this could make for. Y'all should all comment, Pat, what's that in the sky? Ah, shit, he heard me. No, I hear him, but I don't think he can hear me.
Well, that's interesting. What the hell did I do? Settings. Audio.
It's all good, Pat. Just keep doing you.
Hello. Hello.
I hear you.
Mic check. I can hear you now.
Okay,
My, I guess it was my fault.
you're fine. You do you. You're the
One
one
of my
driving the
settings.
missile.
One of my settings was off. What's Mark Legion saying? Probably in one of those half dead zones. No,
Zones.
it was a stupid setting I had.
I can't believe they even include a stupid setting. You
Hardy
wouldn't think that
har
would come on.
har har.
You wouldn't think that'd come on the free package.
Yeah, that cost extra like ludicrous mode.
Oh, so did anybody hear any updated news on us bombing the Houthis?
I have not heard anything updated. I saw a few headlines where I guess maybe Trump was saying that they weren't going to exist very soon. Like that came out of left field. So much for the no new wars president. I'm afraid we'll be fighting Russia, China, and Iran all at the same time.
We're
The
surrounded.
shit doesn't
Per.
shit doesn't calm down.
Well, it's like what Chesty Puller said. We're surrounded. Good. Now we can kill the bastards in any direction.
Go out and do a property check. Better have a bright flashlight and a pew pew.
Be safe, Grace.
And turn around every so often. I've seen all the horror movies. People don't turn around
Mm-hmm.
enough. The dog man might be right behind you.
Yeah, but the damsel never gets it first. She's not oblivious to get it early in the film. She'd be the one like makes it next to last. I think.
Where like the trope is like the guy and the girl always make it, right?
But then there's those ones that throw in that loop at the end where you think the movie's over, and then they end up both dying, or one of them gets killed by the bad guy that is supposed to have already been dead. He's been
Hmm.
shot, stabbed, drowned, caught on fire, still somehow just lives.
Mark says sounds like Michael Myers.
Yeah, basically. I don't remember I haven't watched those movies in quite some time, but from what I remember, there wasn't even anything really supernatural about him in the beginning, was there? Like he was at a mental institution or something, and he broke out.
Yeah, he just had that retard strength. But then as the movies go on, he starts having like unexplained, unrealistic. And I guess that's the allure. Like you suspend your disbelief. Just accept that a guy can be stabbed and shot, lit on fire, and kicked downstairs.
Yeah, I have to turn my brain off every so often when you're watching a movie. Like you're already watching a sci-fi flick, so you've suspended some disbelief, but put a little bit of realism in it. Like you don't get stitched up with a machine gun and be like, "Oh no," and then like stand up and keep fighting. I did hear a very interesting theory earlier today. John Wick is actually the Keanu Neo from the Matrix, but it's like a time dilation. When he learns kung fu and he learns how to shoot, like in that instant that they uploaded into his brain, it's John movies where he's learning the entire life of John Wick,
Mm.
learning to fight and shoot in that instant during the Matrix. Am I saying that right? Like, are you understand what I'm trying to say?
I was mostly following, but it didn't help that you roboted a little bit. It's like every time you say something juicy, you robot a little.
That's the way it always goes. Like Trinity gets downloaded, flying a helicopter. So, in that instant in the Matrix movies, you go through like a training montage in her head of months and months, or maybe even years of, taking pilot lessons and flying that helicopter.
Uh-huh.
But it was just downloaded into her brain instantaneously in the Matrix. And I thought that was pretty good. Like I never would have thought of that on my own. And I just saw another thing that if any of my nerds out there have ever watched, I watched The Walking Dead pretty religiously for a long time, and I've been watching the cartoon show Invincible, and they're written by the same guy. And the one character in the show Walking Dead, Glenn, gets his head bashed in by a baseball bat. And the actor that played Glenn, Stephen Yeun, he voices the Invincible character in the cartoon. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who played Negan in The Walking Dead, he plays one of the other characters in Invincible, like what do they call him, like World Ender or something. I can't think of it, but he's voiced by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So in The Walking Dead, Jeffrey Dean Morgan bashes in Stephen Yeun's head. Well, in this cartoon, Stephen Yeun bashes in Jeffrey Dean Morgan's head in the cartoon. It's kind of like a, karma coming around in a different universe.
A little nod.
Yeah.
Well, The Walking Dead was a comic book before it was a show, so it makes sense.
Yeah, Invincible was a comic book. I have the majority of the Walking Dead comic books. I have a few of the compendiums, and I have a few of the regular one issue comics.
Mm-hmm.
But then I just kind of fell off, and I didn't buy all the rest. I feel like the show, when it deviated from the comic book too far, kind of messed up.
That's how I felt about Amazon's production of the first season of Terminal List. Like they way condensed and nerfed that book and put it into like a 8-9 episode season.
Yeah, I liked it all the same. I listened to the book before I watched the show. When I heard the show was coming out, I went ahead and listened to the book first. The book was way better, I think, but I still enjoyed the show. Now, I couldn't.
I don't know.
I tried listening to the next book in the series. I just couldn't do it. I guess because of the guy's background in the military, he has to have his book reviewed by the DoD before he's allowed to
Yeah.
put it out. There's a bunch of
Mhm.
redacted stuff, and you try and listen to the audiobook, and you're like getting into it, and there's conversations, and then there's like it pulls you out of the experience altogether when like somebody comes over and it goes redacted. And
Huh.
it says that a lot in the second book, and it really takes you out of the experience, in my opinion.
It does it to some degree in the written form too. I haven't listened to any of the audiobooks, but I have all of them in print. Most of them I have twice. I have paperback and hardback. I've got to read the two newest ones. I got those for Christmas, and I still haven't sat down and read them.
There's a few books that I like to read in print. Um, I had a system going where I'd sit down and I'd read at least 8 pages a night right before I went to sleep. I'd usually do more than 8 pages.
I wonder if when he updates, because like when they print second and third editions of the books, like he'll unredact more of the stuff as he's allowed, which is crazy that the government censors go hard on him because there's other people writing stuff that they talk about it. Like he has always argued that there's not anything that he's not saying that hasn't been said somewhere else publicly.
Yeah. I kind of
think they're
wish they
just
would go back
keeping
and
their thumb on
edit
him.
it though, and just change the name of the location or the person's name or whatever it is that gets redacted. I just wish they would go back and just make something up.
Yeah. Later ACR. Rest easy. They're such good books, though, man. It's like it's fiction, but it's like realistically based fiction. Like it's art that imitates life as opposed to life imitating art. Or you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Like
I
like
like that it's
fiction,
pretty realistic.
yeah, like it's all within the scope of possible. It's kind of modern American James Bond, but from a guy that's been there and done that, less so much a naval intelligence officer that just got a peek behind the curtain. I think that maybe I would even go so far as to say building a realistic story around a single character, I think he has eclipsed Clancy. She's back and safe. Nothing afoul on the perimeter check.
Yeah, my dogs were going nuts the other night, and I think I was talking about it. I threw I threw my night vision on when I did my walk around the house. I live out in the sticks enough. We don't usually have crackheads hanging out, but we have had some people saying that their sheds have been broken into. Most of my troubles come from a possum. Pretty sure he's living under my shed.
You probably trap him.
Yeah, I kind of want them around. I don't want them under my shed, that's for sure. But I kind of want them around. They're supposed to eat ticks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he'll keep the raccoons away and stop things from messing with my chickens.
Grit and Grace, are you talking dog footprints or boot footprints? She said footprints in the mud, but I don't know if they're his or if I have bigger issues. I hope she's talking about dogs. Boot. Okay, so she's not sure if they're her boyfriends or if they're somebody else's. Shining a rifle light. Shining a rifle light on occasion seems to go a long ways. Mark says possums will eat their weight in cockroaches in one night. The more you know.
I can tell something's been digging around my chicken coop. I had to throw some big rocks in some holes the other day.
Now they will eat your chickens, or at least your eggs. Like they're not beyond an easy meal.
Yeah, nothing's gotten in the coop yet. I'm probably feeding them because I got that one chicken that eats eggs, and they get one every now and then, and I just throw it in the yard. And come to think of it, I haven't seen those shells, so whatever. Maybe the possum's eating them.
Mm-hmm. You need to throw the
Might
chicken
be
that's
keep.
eating eggs out there.
Yeah. Once I figure out which one's doing it, like I got a hold of it the one day because there's these tiny little doors on the back of the nesting boxes. You're just supposed to open the door and be able to take the eggs. And the one day I
Mm-hmm.
caught the one eating the egg, and I reached through real quick and grabbed it by the neck, but I couldn't. Like the door's too small to pull the chicken through. And by the time I let go of the chicken and went around to the big door, there were several chickens in there. I can't tell the difference between the black ones. So one of these days I'll figure out who it is. I'll probably just separate them. Maybe I'll use that one for breeding purposes. Well, that won't work. She's gonna eat the damn eggs.
Oh, you meant breed the chicken.
Mm-hmm. I always wondered, do you have to separate the chicks from the regular chickens? Like, will the other
Well,
chickens kill the chicks?
as I recall, when I was young, the few that we had hatched, we just let them run around, and for the most part, they did okay. I know at times we
Just
had
kind
more
of.
than one rooster, and sometimes they would get kind of hateful, but generally the chicks just ran around in the same run with the rest of the chickens. The consensus seems to be that you need to turn the predator chicken into chicken noodle soup.
Yeah, I need to catch them at just the right time, though. Like, do I need to call all of them that eat the eggs, or just the one that starts it? Because I kind of feel like more than one eats it once it's been broke open. And I haven't had one broke for the past couple of days. I tried making those nesting boxes where the thing rolls away and they can't
Mhm.
access them. But I can't get them to lay in the nesting box that I made. I think I might hot glue some straw or something around the edge of it, make it look more like a good place to lay an egg. Because as of right now, I've just like they won't lay in those boxes that I made, so I have this excluded zone where I don't have a nest. That's where everyone's been laying their eggs, and it's kind of harder to get to. So the eggs have been cleaner, and none of them have been broken for the past couple of days.
Well, it's a win. You need to eliminate the instigator at least, if there are any kind of system of elimination, one at a time.
Well,
Robot, robot.
so that one day I did figure out who it was. So I know it's one of my black ones. I have four black ones, three red ones, and a gray chicken. One of the red ones that I lost was the one that we found dead a while back.
What do you feed your chickens? Grace is asking.
Um, we give them like egg layer stuff for the most part, but right now we have like this grain mixed. It's like a egg layer mixed with some sort of grains, and they haven't had access to grit for a minute. Because I didn't know you weren't supposed to mix the grit in with the food. You're supposed to give it to them separately. So I think they are lacking in the calcium. But when I freeze dry my eggs, I dry the eggshells, blend them up, and was giving them to them. So I've got a pan already. I gotta order some just regular calcium grit for them. And we give them corn every once in a while too. And my wife went and bought some mealworms. I was saying something about them needing more protein when they weren't producing much. So my
Mm-hmm.
wife bought them dried mealworms, and like they don't want nothing to do with any of their other feed. Like I put normal food out on the ground first, and they'll just sit there and stare at me until I get the mealworms out. Because they have food available to them in a feeder all day long. But when I go out and check the eggs in the morning, I usually throw some stuff out on the ground just because they like to peck and scratch the ground.
Well, it's kind of like
But they're like,
you like Nutrigrain
go
bars,
ahead.
but as soon as you see some, I said it's like you like Nutrigrain bars, but as soon as you see somebody getting ready to offer you a juicy steak, you're gonna wait for that steak.
Yeah. As I've been taking measures trying to, like the eggshells, the eggs that I do get, they're a little brittle. Like it goes through stages. Like sometimes I can't hardly pick them up without cracking them. But then other and back when they were covered in poop, I would let them soak in water for a little while to soften the poop up and get them clean to clean them up. And some of them would
Hmm.
just crack while they were in the water. I need to go down the chicken rabbit hole, do a bunch more research. But I expanded their run. Like I have a dog kennel hooked up to their chicken coop, so when they come out at night, they don't have just like under the chicken coop to wander around. They've got like a whole 10 by 10 dog kennel with chicken wire all over it. Well, I had some more dog kennel panels, and I went ahead and threw them all together and made them a bigger run on Friday. And it took them a day, and they've already ate all the grass that was in that new section.
She said it sounds like they definitely need more calcium than if you're getting soft eggs, brittle eggs. And she said that
Yeah,
they like black soldier fly larvae. She said they'll go crazy for that more than the mealworms.
yeah. I need to set something up. I'm gonna do it this summer for sure. It was pretty easy. I saw where you just drill a bunch of holes in the bottom of a bucket and you throw something nasty in there, and the flies lay their larvae on it, and they fall off and eventually fall down through the holes of the bucket. That's kind of like an easy free feeding that you get for them.
I've seen the guys make the
Therefore,
like compost, traps where the botflies will like it's the different layers of soil or whatever, and they'll climb up and they lay them, and then they when the larva hatch, they crawl out and fall into the bucket for you.
I should definitely get something like that up and going.
It's like free.
Yeah. Once you're past the initial cost of building it and materials and all, just
Yeah, but this came out
self-perpetuates.
like it was like minimal initial investment on free protein source. She's warning that it reeks though. I guess you just throw some more meat and stuff in there from time to time to attract the flies. Throw some table scraps and stuff in there. I guess if you got tired of messing with that possum, you could just zap him with the CP33.
Yeah, I think next time the dogs go nuts, I'll do my little sweep. I'll take that guy out there. It's suppressed.
Throw your nods. Yeah, just throw your nods on and go up there with that. Tick, 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 tick.
I thought about putting my laser aiming module on the CP33 just to be funny, but it might actually be worth it.
I know a dude that SBR'd one while they were doing the air quote free tax stamps.
I considered that. It came down to like the last 3 days of that tax free whatever, and I was like, screw it.
You can just run a sling and do the push pull method, like a chalker sling where you add tension.
Yeah. There's another deal that you can put on the back of it and make it just like a cheek piece. I saw a guy he did like some kind of competition where it wasn't against his shoulder. He just like put it up to his cheek.
Yeah, the cheek pistol by Demonstrator Concepts. He puts the AR height mount dot on it, and then the little piece of like M-lock or whatever's rail section cover, rubber rail cover.
I actually have mine set up with a 3D printed brace right now. Works pretty good. It's like almost like the MP7 that you have at home.
Yep.
I just wish somebody'd make a binary trigger for it. Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
You could do the same thing with like a 1022 Charger pistol. Pull that way you you're right, you can cheat over the receiver of that. I guess what what that wouldn't have going for it is not having that piece of receiver extension behind the strong hand. So it's kind of a bullpup in a way. Having the mag
They
in the
make
grip.
the new Charger stock has a spot that you can. There's like a plug on the back. You unscrew that, and somebody makes a Picatinny mount that screws into that you can put a pistol brace on it.
Yep. And then there's
Or,
several different
or
chassis.
and they actually make a mount that replaces, I think, the barrel band. Maybe I saw they made it for the backpacker stock, so you can put a red dot on the barrel instead of the receiver. It's supposed to stay a little better zeroed. I'm curious if they have one of that like that for the non-takedown version. You do something like that to keep the dot further forward if you're going to build a Charger.
I'm sure they do. Probably one of those companies that makes like an aluminum chassis. Probably makes a bridge.
They have a short little 3x9 on my takedown. It stays on the receiver.
Tactical Muffin Top said, Pat,
Hey, I sent him a link if he wants to shoot the shit for a minute, or if he's just going to bed.
one little, two little, three little chickens, four little, five little, six little chickens, seven little, eight little, nine little chickens need their calcium supplements.
Yeah, I'll tell my wife next time she makes a Walmart order or something. We need grit. I told her a while back, but I think she forgot.
Do you get that out of the pet section or the garden section of Walmart?
I don't know.
'Cause I worked at Walmart for years. I don't recall us ever selling any livestock feed beyond deer corn.
Yeah, we get chicken feed from Walmart all the time.
Yeah, Grit Gray
I
says,
guess
wait, your Walmart sells grit?
they might not sell grit. I'm not certain, but we definitely get our chicken feed from Walmart.com.
She's not ordering grits, is she?
Oh, we don't eat grits. It's like snot and boogers to me. No grits for me.
It's not my favorite. I'll eat it. Cheesy or cinnamon sugar. So it's a texture thing, not like a religious thing for you.
Yeah, it's the texture. I'll have to have her look and see if she can order grit through that, but we don't even go to the freaking grocery store anymore. She's got a system down. Not only does she not have to go grocery shopping anymore, but she orders it while she's at work, so I have to put the groceries away.
Call me old fashioned, but I still like going to the physical store and shopping. And as often as I can help, paying with cash to a real cashier. If I wanted shit online, like an Amazon model, I would just buy it from Amazon.
Yeah, she pays for Walmart Plus, so
Yeah.
the like getting things delivered is cheaper, and she gets better deals. And through Walmart Plus, we get like free. We get Disney Plus for free, and I think Netflix for free because of Walmart Plus, and something else. Paramount. We get Paramount Plus for free.
Consume.
Now, you don't think about it, but Paramount has a lot of good shows. That's who I'm watching. That's what I'm watching Dexter through. The New Blood TV show of him when he's a teenager.
Yeah. The missus mentioned it. The last season of You is supposed to drop soon, so we got to watch that.
Season of what?
You, YOU.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. It's about a librarian that kills people. He like gets a fatal attraction to women, and then he spends a bunch of time like stalking them and researching them to woo them, and then they do or say something that disappoints him, and so then he offs them and hides them and moves and starts his life over.
That seems a little bit more morbid than Dexter. Dexter had a code.
It's pretty
Only
dark.
killed
It's
only killed bad guys.
kind of psychological. Probably half the dialogue is his internal monologue. I'm dragged. Like I'm gonna go lay down. I'll continue to work. It's all your show now.
All right,
Y'all be
boss.
good.
I'll try and keep it going for a couple of minutes, and then I'll probably shut her down. Start watching my podcast and stuff. Normally, I'd look to the comments to keep things going, but can't really read comments while I'm driving. Not very responsible.
Muffin Top says he has some videos dropping tomorrow, everyone.
Just
Well, Tom Morrow.
try. I would say try and stretch them out, and only do like one, maybe two a day. YouTube likes the consistency, I think.
It'll be an interesting thing to see what my analytics do after doing 3 live streams in the same day. Dramatically varying time spans. All right. Good night, Pat. Be safe.
Will do. Sleep tight. Don't let the dog man bite. Or the skinwalker. Or the Wendigoon. I think this guy supports the Ukraine. The back of his truck says, fuck the Russian government. I definitely saw a lot of Ukrainian flags on the back of trucks when that conflict first started. I wish I could make the text bigger. I just can't read it. Sorry, Mark. I feel like a lot of truckers come from that region of the world. Just judging by the loud conversations that I hear people on their phones when they're going to the bathroom. Some reason they think the world wants to hear their whole conversation, so they talk on speakerphone. Yeah, I, I'm the one that has to put all the groceries away, and this time something happened when she ordered them. For some reason, we got like 8 packs of freaking cheese. We had some cheese cubes, some shredded cheese, like 8 packs. And I was like, what were you thinking when you ordered this? Like, were you half asleep? And I don't know. She seems to think something went wrong electronically, and we've ordered multiples of things that she only wanted one of. So I have no idea. But I put all the groceries away. And she's like, well, where's this? Where's this? I don't know. The refrigerator was pretty full. I was having a stuffed cheese everywhere. Plus, we get a lot of leftovers since she cooks at a retirement home, and a lot of times half the people won't show up, and there'll be a lot of leftovers, and she'll bring leftovers home. So we got a lot of containers of her leftovers in there. It's pretty nice when you don't feel like making a meal. You can just open up. You get a mystery meal. You just pick one and go with it. I told her to bring home all the protein she can get her hands on. If we don't eat it, the animals will. She brought home a bunch of chicken thighs the other night. And I'm not super big on dark meat, so my husky ate real good for a couple of days. At first, she was worried about giving him stuff like that. Like, what are you talking about? He ate a whole ass pheasant. The only thing left was a wing. He ate everything on the pheasant, except for the feathers. We have a convent up the hill from where I live, and they raise a bunch of animals. You can hear turkeys and goats and stuff up the hill. And I guess they hatched a bunch of pheasants and let them go, let them roam. And one of them got too close to the husky. I was afraid they were going to come down and be angry with us, but I don't know. I guess they just kind of let them go, let nature take its course. And there's enough predators in our area. I'm pretty sure they all got murked. They have this dang bell up there at that convent. At first, I thought it was like a calling or something, like they're supposed to ring the bell when it was time to pray or time to eat or something. But there's no method to the madness. It's just random times throughout the day. And my ADD tism, like it doesn't bother me at all. Like I can completely block it out. But my wife, she gets real angry with it. And she just brought home a huge container of meatballs. And I'm thinking about cutting them in half and trying to freeze dry them, and maybe I can add them to do like some freeze dried spaghetti or something. I think instead of cooking the spaghetti and like putting it all together and then freeze drying it, I might just leave the spaghetti noodles the way they are. 'Cause they're already dry, they'll keep forever. But if I freeze dry some spaghetti sauce and throw some meatballs in there and freeze dry them at the same time, then all you got to do is just cook the noodles and leave a little bit of extra water in there and then mix in the freeze dried spaghetti sauce and meatballs and let it reconstitute. We did the math a while ago. We heard it was one of Bear Independence live streams. He got to talking about how to be prepared, and one of the things is just take something that you eat, and once a week, just do the math. And we did the math on spaghetti, and we bought enough spaghetti and spaghetti sauce to eat once a week for an entire year, and that was part of our preparations. But spaghetti sauce won't last forever. I feel like it'll last much longer if it's freeze dried. Pattioli and meatballs, that works. Now she made something the other day. It was like some kind of raviolis, and I told her to bring it home. She ended up not. I was planning on freeze drying those too. But I'm kind of kicking myself with that freeze dryer. I think I bought it used for 1,600, and at the time that was a pretty good deal. Then I saw on like Harvest Right they're having some sale, and you for not much more, you could have got I could have got a brand new one. I don't think it was as big as the one I got, but mine's so old I can't do any of the cool shit because Harvest Right has a Wi-Fi adapter now. You just plug it into the side of the machine, and you can update the software through Wi-Fi. And there's a phone app where it tells you when it's done, and you can add more time and control it from your phone. But mine's too old, and I can't do that shit. Like I can't even update the software anymore because the new ones have a candy mode. It's already pre-programmed for freeze drying candy. But mine's too old. I can't update the software, and I can't use the Wi-Fi dongle. Kind of bummed out. I think for me to invest in a new one, I definitely have to be doing it as a business. I don't have the time for all that. If I am going to upgrade anything, it's going to be to get rid of that vacuum pump. They have oilless pumps, but they cost as much as the freaking freeze dryer does. And the maintenance of that vacuum pump is the worst. Yeah, freeze dryer is definitely not a need, but it's pretty cool. Like we've been preserving food for hundreds of years before freeze dryers. Is the free ice cream machine broken? I have no idea what you're talking about. If you're talking about my freeze dryer, it's not broken. I was just talking about updating it. You can find them. I got mine off Facebook Marketplace used for about 1,600. It's not too bad. Came with an extra set of trays, so I can have one set already freezing while the one is being used in the machine. But I originally bought it for my wife. I just kind of took it over using it. She helps me prepare it. And when we were freeze drying the eggs and powdering them up and putting them away, she helped me put them away. I'm slowly coming to the realization that all this preparing I'm doing, it's basically me. My wife jumps in every now and then, but my kids aren't doing any of it. And it's basically going to be all for them because the way my job is, I'm never home. It's bad enough the way it is, but when her and I start driving together, we're only going to be home 3 days a week. We're going to be completely away from home the rest of the week. You know, if shit ever does hit the fan, chances are we're going to be states hundreds of miles away. And I have thought it out in my head what it's going to take to try and get home in that scenario. None of it's good. One of the scenarios is just to say, fuck the trailers, stay with the truck. I've got 200-gallon fuel capacity. I can get pretty damn far on that much fuel, and I carry along a siphoning hose. And I did have a 5-gallon jug of diesel that I carried with me, but it wouldn't fit on the back catwalk of my trailer because the trailer would hit it when it would swing side to side. So I had it bungee strapped to the framework of my I guess you would call it the arrow wing on the side of the truck. I had it bungeed in there really, really good. And eventually, I wasn't paying attention, and the bungees started to wear, and one of them broke. And eventually, the thing just like kind of fell, and I drug it for a while. It didn't take long for the diesel just to leak all out of it. So there's a plan if I'm away when shit hits the fan. These these trucks, the fuel tanks are pretty easy to get to, and the majority of them don't have. Some of them have a cage on the inside that you can't put a siphoning hose through, but the majority don't. And you can rob fuel from the truck tanks, and you can rob fuel from the refrigerated trailers. They have their own tanks, and they're really easy to get to. So do I stick with a giant truck that has a portable bedroom? And usually uh, when we were in our own truck, we had three like plastic little shelving things. Two of them had clothes in it, but the one in the middle was stuffed with just food and stuff. So we could probably live off what was in those drawers for at least 2 weeks, and probably longer if we stretched it hard. So do you abandon your truck that has a place to sleep and food in it, but you're very limited on the roads you can take because of the height of the truck and it's pretty slow? Or do you abandon that and try to tactically procure a smaller vehicle? Yeah, hot wire an old car. Even though I was a mechanic and I could definitely figure it out, it wouldn't be fast. So you're talking about like some containers or something, bringing that stuff with you. Like, yeah, if you're trying to bug out and you've got all that stuff prepared, but I really don't have that option. I'm pulling freight, and I'll have the trailer that I have with the freight on it. About the best I can do is put a bicycle on the back catwalk. I've seen guys that have Peterbilts with the real long stretched out frames. They can put whole motorcycles in between their truck and their trailer. I've even seen a guy had a smart car up there. Yeah, I've thought about in the past getting like a nice long trailer, like a 40-footer. Go ahead and take my camper off the frame and put it on that trailer, and then still have the rest of the trailer to put different stuff on. That'd be kind of a neat bug out setup. I've seen people do similar stuff with smaller campers. You've still got room on the trailer for your ATVs and stuff, or your preps. Yeah. Next week, the wife and I start driving together again. We run from Hagerstown, Maryland, down to Phoenix, Arizona once a week. We go down and back. So we'll be away from the house way more than we'll be at the house. And the way things go, things ever pop off for real and just like fall off a cliff real soon, chances are we're going to be away from the house. And I run through scenarios in my head, try and plan on what it would take to get home. Like if we're going to take the same route every time, try and figure out stashes along the way. Like I ran through it in my head. We used to go out to California a lot. And along 40, there's all these washes that you go over. And they'd be good places to try to hide some stash. because they're easily recognizable, and I'm able to actually get to them with the vehicle that I'm in. There's just the logistics of trying to place the stash without somebody seeing it and then just going and stealing all your shit. And I thought about storage units. If there's kind of a waste of money for something that has such a low likelihood of happening, and we for sure don't make the money like we used to. Yeah, the truck I drive now, I bought a folding bicycle. I carried that. It got to the point where it wasn't only me using this truck; they were having somebody else drive it on the regular, and they were supposed to take this truck away from me and let one of their other teams use it because their truck had broken down. So I took everything out of it. Like right now, I'm just the bare minimum. I don't even have my med kit in here anymore. So I only have the tourniquet that I carry on me. I don't have my little med kit with me. My bug out bag isn't in here anymore. My folding bike isn't in here anymore. And this other truck that we're supposed to use when my wife and I start driving together again, I'm hoping there'll be room on the catwalk that I'll be able to strap the bike up there. At the very least, when you're parked somewhere for any length of time, you can bike to a different store. That's one of the biggest things about being over the road. So you're kind of a prisoner to what you can reach from the highway. I remember when I was in training, I had to call an Uber to take me to the bank. I had some cash I needed to put in the bank to cover some stuff, I think. For one reason or another, I really, really needed to get to a bank. So I had to call an Uber to Uber me over to the bank. And we had to do that a bunch. Her and I, we would, when our truck went in the shop and we weren't able to stay with it, we had to Uber from the shop to a hotel. And we got Uber Eats delivered to us all the time. Because we always tried to prep food when we came out, but it only lasts so long. When you stay out 4 or 5 weeks at a time, you run out of food after you run out of the food that you made like 2 weeks in, and you're just stuck with whatever you can come up with. And a lot of the truck stops all have nothing but fast food garbage. So if you want anything else, you got to pay to get it delivered. And that's like a $50 minimum for 2 people getting Uber delivered to you. So that gets expensive real quick. That stacks up. Oh, we're definitely once we start driving together, it's going to be way better. Right now, I clear about 1,100 a week, and she's only been making like 300-400 a week. But when we start driving together again, it pays better per mile, and I'll be making like 200-300 more than I'm making now, and she'll be making 4 times what she makes. We'll be making the same thing. Should gross should be about 1,700 a week. That's for each of us. I know that seems like a lot to some people, but with the way we have our life set up and our bills, what we're making now isn't enough. I got 2 of my kids living with me, and my daughter has her. I'm doing air quotes boyfriend living with her. I don't want to get into that. Yeah, we just paid a $400 electric bill. That wiped out everything my wife made for 2 weeks, pretty much. Just paying the electric. Don't pay for fuel. The company pays for all the fuel. I'm a W-2 employee, so we just get paid. We're going to get 85 cents a mile on this new trip. And being that we're in the same household, it's kind of nice because it doesn't matter who drives or who drives more than the other, because all the money's going to the same household, so it's going to be pretty sweet. Um, we get to write so much off on our taxes for per diem. Nobody gives us money for food, but you get to deduct it from your taxes. It's up to $65 a day you're allowed to deduct, but you only actually get to deduct like 60% of it or something, or 80%. I don't know. It's fucked up and weird. That's why you pay somebody to do your taxes. You know, when we were leasing a truck and doing OTR together, it's fun. It's funny. We actually did have to pay for the fuel. A lot of the trips, well, all the trips you went on had a fuel surcharge on them, but that didn't cover fuel. So if you look at it on paper, it looks like we made so much more money than we actually did, because all the expenses we had to pay for. We had to pay for all the fuel, all the truck maintenance, any repairs not covered by warranty on the truck we had to cover. We were sitting in a parking lot out in it was New Mexico or Arizona, I'm not sure which one, and a guy hit us while we were parked. And to go through insurance or to go through the body shop, they said it was going to take months and months to get the stuff repaired. And it was just easy bolt on stuff because all they hit was my mirrors and the deer guard on the front of the truck. So they said, go over to the mechanic shop. They'll be able to do it. The only trick is you have to pay for it first and you'll get reimbursed. Well, I learned my fucking lesson there. I spent $3,000 on two mirrors and that deer guard and never got reimbursed. So I had to pay for all that myself. And you want to know the kicker? When I turned in that lease, they charged me to replace the same mirror that I already had been charged to replace because they said it was worn and loose. Like, this is bullshit. It's been like a year. Is there a warranty on that shit? Yeah, the pretty much leasing a truck from a company is it's kind of a scam. It really isn't, but damn, it's kind of a scam because the same people that own the leasing company own the trucking company. So they're getting paid, they're fucking getting paid twice. And that truck comes out no matter how hard you run or how little you run. So when you take a week off, there's still a $1,500 truck payment due for that week. And no matter how bad the freight is, if you're making money or not, that payment still comes due. And what makes it worse is they try and push training on you to have students, and you are 100% responsible for everything that student does. If they wreck and cause property damage, you're liable for all that stuff. If they wreck your truck, you're liable for all that stuff. And you're training a student for the company. And also you have to pay that student out of the revenue of the truck. And there's been times I've seen people on I'm a member of a few Facebook groups for the Prime drivers. That's what I used to drive for, was Prime Inc. Not Amazon Prime, Prime Inc. out of Springfield, Missouri. I was on a few Facebook groups for those Prime drivers, and there's been a few times where, because you had to pay the student and they had gotten sued a few times, so you had to pay the student this minimum amount. I've seen more often than you would think where the student made more money than the lease driver did for that week, because you're required to pay out so much. They had like a minimum pay that they had to do. And there was times through lease of that truck where my wife was getting fed up with it and was thinking about getting off the truck, and then I contemplating running a student. Man, I say you're liable for what the student does. There's like through the insurance, there's $1,000 deductible. As soon as something happens, they take $1,000 from you right away. And when it comes to freight claims, like if something bad happens and your freight goes bad or whatever, depending on what happens, like if they find you liable for what happened, they don't cover anything. If things go tragically wrong, like if you were to wreck the truck and destroy the truck and the produce or whatever that you were pulling, you could be liable for up to $5,000, even if it wasn't your fault. So you take a student on, somebody that you know nothing about. It used to be there's two phases of the training. One was PSD. I don't remember what it stands for. And then there was TNT. The PSD was done by somebody else back at the terminal. It used to be where you could do both sections yourself, and then you would at least know the person the whole way through. But after they go through PSD and get into your truck, you don't know anything about them. I've heard horror stories of women getting trained by men and trying to come on to them and stuff. And students going through the trainer's belongings when they're not in the truck. Like one guy stole his fuel card and was using it to buy food and showers and stuff. And there's basically no benefit. The only benefit you get is that they drive for you and put some revenue on the truck. With all those, but you take all the risk. You take all the risk, and the company gets a trained driver at the end of it. So whoop de frickin' do. Like, why would I do that? Maybe during the COVID times when the freight rates were out of control. Like, I think the first year we drove, we had a really freaking good week. We brought home $9,000 in 1 week. That doesn't include taxes. That was just after fuel and after payments and all that other bullshit that they take from you. We made $9,000 that week. That was probably the week I bought my Scar 20S. So I had a bad habit. I didn't like leaving a big chunk of money in the bank, so I would put it into something that I thought would hold value. Oh, there's a lesson learned there. New guns do not hold value, especially $4,000 ones. Well, looks like Grit and Grace is leaving. That's as good a time as any to end it out. Thanks for showing up and keeping me company in the middle of the night. It'll definitely helps me stay awake. It stops me from snacking. Just remember, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Eat what you prep what you eat. 2 is 1, 1 is none, 3 is for me. If you've already got 4, what's one more? Y'all be nice.